What's up, guys? This is First Centurion 753, and I am doing a tutorial video today on the game Geopolitical Simulator 4 Power and Revolution. This was a request of one of my subscribers, Derek Rest. I know there's people out there who are probably a lot more experienced than I am in this game, but this is just for beginners. It's a tutorial for beginners. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes. There's a lot to explain in this game, so I'm just doing general overview here. I'll probably have some additional tutorials added on to this later. But this is just a quick get started type tutorial, and playing as the United States here. Geopolitical Simulator is a game where you play as the head of state, but you could also play as political party, head of a particular political party, or the head of a terrorist organization or an independence organization, whatever you want to, depending on your point of view. And today I'm going to show you what it's like to play as the head of state, which is probably the most complex. You have a lot to deal with down here. The first thing I like to look at real quick, I'm playing the United States because I'm in the United States. First screen I like to look at when I play the game, and I usually write a lot of things down. I'm a pad and pencil guy, so I like to have that handy. I'm not sure what iGeneration type people want to do, but this screen right away gives you some quick information that you need to know about your country. GDP. GDP is the amount of goods and services produced in your country in a single year. So it's a measure of the wealth of the economy. Okay, this is not how much money your government has. This is not how much you have to spend. This is how much is in your economy, and then you will tax and you will extract some of that. You don't want to extract too much of it because then that would have a negative impact. But you can tax from the GDP. Basically, that's your pool of wealth that you have to work with. And obviously, the less you tax, the more the economy is going to grow usually. So that's an important number. Population. Oh, and by the way, this is a very big number. Other countries, this is the biggest. You're going to see the biggest number in the United States. You won't see anything near this size in other countries. And it's in billions. All right, the denomination is in billions. So that's $18 trillion. And that's important. It's important to pay attention to denominations in this game because sometimes it'll screw you up. This is in millions. All right, 324 million people in the population. All right, I've gotten screwed up a couple times because I wasn't paying attention to the correct denomination. You guys probably have seen that in some of my videos if you watched. There's other information about your government, your regime, your political party on the screen, which, that is important to an extent. But the other numbers that I think are really important that I look at right away are these three right here: growth, unemployment, and inflation. I pay a very close attention to these numbers right off the bat and as the game goes on. Growth measures how much the economy is expanding, or if it's a negative number, whether it's contracting or expanding. Obviously, you want it to be positive. You don't want to be, usually, can't think of why you want a contracting economy. But if it gets too high, it might have some negative impacts. We'll talk about that in a second. Unemployment. Unemployment is how many people in the country that are looking for jobs and can't find it. And you usually want to keep it under at least 10, probably under like, 6 or 7. 4 is a good number. I've gotten it down to 0.1, but some people would say that that's bad because then you don't have people to recruit from for the military. So that's an argument for another time, though. Inflation is the other number down here, and this is measures the value of your currency. If the inflation is very high, it's losing power, it's losing strength, and that can have a negative impact on your economy and on the purchasing power of your people. So you do want to keep that number down. Sometimes it can spiral out of control pretty quickly, and you get hyperinflation, and that's very bad for economies. But you don't want to go into deflation. I've never seen it go into deflation in the game. I don't think you want that to happen. That's bad as well. A little bit of inflation, or what the economists call creeping inflation, I believe, is the best way to do that. If the growth goes up very high, that could have a negative impact on the inflation. If you get like 30%, 40% growth, then your inflation is going to start to skyrocket, and you're going to have to do something to manage that. But I gotta save that for another video. GDP per capita, that's basically number of people divided by, that's the GDP divided by the number of people, and that sort of is another indicator of wealth based on the size of your country. There's other information here: size of the army, nuclear weapons. I don't have time to go over everything because, again, there's a lot to this game, and I want to get into as much as possible for a general overview. This is your leader. This is who you are. All right. Next elections, 312 days, and he's actually not going to be in that election. So in a democracy, you do have to pay attention when the next election is, and you have to look at your term and everything to see. And I think you can do that under head of state, and this will tell you like term lengths right here. So you can change your term length, 2 terms, 1 successive term. That's for the United States. Or you can do unlimited. If you want to keep playing forever, you got to get it over to unlimited. You can also change into a dictatorship when there won't be any elections, but that's another story. Okay, so the other thing that's important here in this screen is this agenda book here, because this lists all your meetings, and that's an important dynamic to the game, meeting people. And I'll probably do a separate tutorial on that as well. Down here are all the different tabs of all the different areas that you have to deal with. Okay, there's a lot to this game. I want to go real quick into budget and taxation. This is basically your government tab right here, where it deals all the government stuff that you have to deal with. Your monetary policy, your fiscal policy, and your people who are employed for you. This is economics, which breaks down into farming, agriculture, industry, services, etc. This tab deals with security information. This tab deals with basically health and wellness of the people. Here is more of like a literature, or this is like there's sports here. This is more like, I guess, extracurricular activities. I don't know how to categorize this one, but education, research, culture, which you can spend on media. There's certain laws involved in that. Sports, and sports can have additional benefits to you and your country as well if you have good athletes. Here we have the whole basically separation of powers, all the people that are in the government, the head of state and their laws, the parliament, the elections, and the cabinet and the advisors. So this is where all the checks and balances, separation of power, other people that have power in the government will be managed here, so to speak. This is international relations tab, diplomacy, aid, UN, other international organizations. You can also start your own international organization. And here is everything else. This is all more general information. A lot of what's going on in your country. Political parties, unions, associations, religions, and sects. These are all the different groups in your country that you have to deal with and appease. And then there's also some key figures and everything in here as well. You have artists, businessmen, athletes, and these are all different people that you can meet and you can get things from. But I did want to go back real quick for this initial video and just go over these 2 tabs of budget and taxation. Budget, oh, excuse me. Well, no, this is taxation. Taxation is usually what I go to. Budget's important because it'll tell you how much you're spending. Taxation won't tell you what you're spending. So if you want to know what you're actually spending on, you have to click here and you'll get your actual budget. And this sort of breaks it down, all the different areas where the spending is. But the rest of this information is actually in the taxation tab. So I usually go to the taxation tab right away because this tells you how much you're earning. You could figure out how much you're spending by just checking out your budget deficit. You might have a budget surplus. Not too many countries start off with a budget surplus. I always try to get a budget surplus because I want to start working to pay down the debt. The debt does have costs. Not only do you have to pay back what you owe, you also have to pay back it in interest. So if you don't pay it back all the time, it does continue to grow and expand, and that becomes an issue. So a budget surplus will help you start to pay it down. Structural deficit and structural surplus, complicated to explain. I think it's basically telling you what direction you're going in. So if it's a negative deficit, your deficit is slowly reducing. Okay, it's working to get paid off. All right, you can still going to expand the deficit based on your spending, but it is on track to get paid off, I think, if that makes any sense. There's also all the different taxes and all the different methods that you can earn money, draw money from your economy and your GDP. Okay, and if you want to change one of these things, you have to get Parliament's approval or Congress's approval. And in Power and Revolution, you can actually gauge that. It will cost you some of your party finances, which you have to manage. That's not your government money. That's what your political party has. But then it will tell you what the parliament's position is. Okay, and the United States Parliament, or we call it Congress in the United States, is broken up into two bodies, the Senate and the House of Representatives. So you have to get them passed in both houses. Most countries don't have this bicameral two-house system. Most countries just have one parliament and multiple political parties. The United States only has two political parties. So, the Democratic Union, that's the Democrats, and that's Obama's party. They'll usually support you, and the other party might not. So you have to sort of play a game and negotiate things back and forth. Now, there's all kinds of stuff involved in taxation and a lot of different tricks, and I don't have time to go into it. I've already kind of gone over the 10 minutes that I said I wanted to. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. You can also create taxes and pass law and legislation here. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope it was informative. Again, it was just for beginners. There's other tutorials you can go on other channels. I think Politics Gaming has a financial tutorial out there. I would recommend him. There's other channels a few other channels that do play this. If you guys found this informative, please leave a like. Let me know if you want more tutorials. Let me know if it was too long, too short. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe.